Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the English Learning and Speaking Podcast, where we make English learning easy, natural, and fun. I'm Emma.
And I'm Jack. It's really good to be here with you today, Emma.
It's great to see you too, Jack. How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. Actually, I had an interesting conversation this morning.
Oh, really? What was it about?
Well, I was talking with a friend about movies, and we didn't really agree on which one was the best.
Ah, I see. So you had a different opinion?
Exactly. I liked the movie a lot, but my friend didn't agree with me at all.
Oh, that happens a lot, actually. People don't always think the same way.
Yes, and I realized something important. I didn't know how to disagree politely in English.
That's a great point, Jack. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today.
Today's topic is how to agree and disagree like a native speaker.
Because in real conversations, we don't always say yes or no directly. We sound more natural and polite.
Exactly. And by the end of this episode, you'll learn simple phrases to agree, disagree, and sound more fluent in everyday English.
The real problem for many English learners is not vocabulary or grammar. It's something much more subtle. They don't know how to react naturally in conversations.
You're right, Emma.
Because in real life, conversations are not just about speaking. They are about responding. And one of the most common responses we give every day is either agreeing or disagreeing with someone. Now, here's where things get interesting.
Many learners are taught English in a very school-style way. They learn how to form correct sentences, they learn how to answer questions, but they are rarely taught how to sound natural when they respond to opinions.
So when they enter real conversations, they often fall into a pattern that sounds very direct, very short, and sometimes even unintentionally rude.
For example, if someone says, "I think this movie is really good," a learner might respond with just,
No,
or.
I don't like it.
Now, grammatically, this is not wrong. The meaning is clear, but socially and conversationally, it feels too strong. It cuts the flow of the conversation. It can even make the other person feel rejected or uncomfortable.
And this is the core issue. English in real life is not only about correctness, it is about softness, flow, and connection.
Native speakers understand this instinctively. They don't jump straight into disagreement. They ease into it. They soften their opinion. They keep the conversation alive.
So instead of saying, no, I don't agree, a native speaker might say something like, I see your point, but I think it a little differently.
Or, I'm not really sure about that.
Do you see the difference?
The meaning is still disagreement, but the feeling is completely different. One sounds sharp. The other sounds calm and respectful.
And this is something many learners don't notice at first.
Another common problem is that learners often think there are only two options: agree or disagree, yes or no, right or wrong.
But natural English is not that simple. In real conversations, agreement and disagreement exist on a scale.
Yes, sometimes you fully agree.
Sometimes you partly agree.
Sometimes you disagree but still respect the idea.
Sometimes you are unsure and want to stay neutral.
Native speakers express all of this without thinking, but learners often get stuck because they don't have the phrases for these in-between emotions.
So what happens then?
They either stay silent because they're not sure how to respond, or they respond in a very direct way that doesn't match the natural flow of the conversation.
Another important issue is confidence.
Yes, Emma. Many learners are afraid of disagreeing in English. They think disagreement is something negative or rude. So even when they don't agree, they just say yes to avoid conflict.
But in natural English conversations, disagreement is completely normal. Friends disagree, colleagues disagree, even families disagree. The key is not to avoid disagreement. It is to express it politely.
That's why native speakers use softeners like, I think, I feel like.
I'm not so sure. I see your point, but these small expressions change everything. They reduce pressure. They make the conversation feel balanced instead of confrontational. Another challenge is listening while responding.
When someone shares an opinion, learners sometimes focus too much on understanding the words and not enough on how to react naturally. So even if they understand, they don't know what to say next.
This creates awkward pauses or repetitive answers like yes, no, okay, without much depth.
Native speakers, on the other hand, have a kind of automatic response system. They instantly choose phrases like, "That's true." "Exactly."
I never thought about that. I see what you mean. These responses keep the conversation alive and show engagement. They are small but powerful.
Another hidden problem is that learners often translate directly from their native language. In many languages, disagreement is expressed very directly and still feels normal. But when that structure is carried into English, it can feel too strong or too abrupt.
So learners might think they are simply being honest, but to a native speaker, it can sound too direct or even aggressive.
This is not a grammar issue. It is a cultural communication style issue.
English conversations, especially casual ones, are built around politeness strategies. People try to protect each other's feelings, even when they disagree.
So instead of rejecting an idea directly, they wrap their disagreement in softer language.
And this is exactly what learners need to understand.
Because once you learn how to agree and disagree naturally, your English doesn't just become correct, it becomes comfortable to listen to.
People respond to you better. Conversations feel smoother. You sound more confident, even if your vocabulary is simple.
But until learners understand this, they often feel stuck.
They know English. They can speak English, but they don't feel natural in real conversations. And that gap is usually caused by one thing: not knowing how to express opinions in a native-like way.
Right. So let's get right into it because we have a lot to unpack today.
So in this episode, we are going to fix that.
We are going to break down simple, natural phrases that native speakers use every day. Not formal textbook English, but real conversational English. Because once you master this, you will notice something powerful. You are not just speaking English anymore, you are communicating like a real person in English.
Even native speakers like us make mistakes sometimes when we agree or disagree.
Oh yes, all the time. It's not always as simple as saying yes or no.
Emma, let's imagine we are choosing something together, like a restaurant.
Oh yes. Okay, I want to eat something spicy today.
To be honest, I'm not really in the mood for spicy food.
Oh really? What would you prefer then?
I feel like eating something simple, maybe burgers or pasta.
I see what you mean. But I think spicy food would be more exciting today.
I understand your point, but I'm not so sure about that. I think my stomach might not handle it today.
Fair enough. That's a good reason.
See, we didn't just say yes or no. We explained our opinions.
Exactly. And that's what native speakers do all the time.
So instead of direct disagreement, we soften it, right?
Yes, we say things like, I see your point, but, or I think it a little differently.
Or even, I'm not really convinced. That sounds much more natural.
And when we agree strongly, we don't just say yes. We say exactly, or I couldn't agree more.
Yes, or that's exactly what I was thinking. That one is very powerful.
What if we only partly agree?
Then we can say, I guess so, or in some ways, yes, but...
So we don't need to fully agree or disagree.
Exactly. Conversations are flexible. It's not black or white.
That makes English feel much more natural.
And that's the real secret. Sounding natural is more important than sounding perfect.
Let's try something real now. Paul, what do you think about working from home?
I think it's really convenient. You can save time and avoid travel.
I see your point, but I feel like working from home can sometimes be distracting.
That's true. I guess it depends on the person.
Exactly. Some people are more productive at home. Others need an office environment.
So instead of saying, I agree or I disagree, we adjust our response depending on the situation.
Yes, and that's what makes your English sound natural. Flexibility in your opinion.
What if we strongly agree with someone?
Then we can say things like, I couldn't agree more, or that's exactly how I feel.
Like this: learning English online is very effective. I couldn't agree more. It really helps learners improve faster.
That sounds very natural.
And what if we strongly disagree, but still want to be polite?
Then we can say, I respect your opinion, but I see it differently.
That sounds much better than just saying, I don't agree.
Yes, because it keeps the conversation respectful even when we disagree.
So basically, English is not about winning an argument. It's about keeping the conversation smooth.
Exactly. It's about connection, not conflict.
And that's why these small phrases are so powerful in daily life.
Because they help you sound confident, polite, and natural at the same time.
So today we learned that agreeing and disagreeing is not just about saying yes or no.
Yes, it's about how you express your opinion in a natural and respectful way.
We use phrases like, I think, I believe, and in my opinion to share ideas smoothly.
And for agreeing, we say things like exactly, I agree, or I couldn't agree more.
And when we disagree, we don't need to sound harsh. We can say, I see your point, or I'm not so sure about that.
These small phrases make a big difference in real conversations.
Because they help you sound more natural, more polite, and more confident in English.
And the best part is, you can start using them immediately in your daily life.
Try using just one of these phrases today in a real conversation.
Even a small step like that will improve your speaking skills over time.
And don't be afraid of making mistakes. That's how you learn.
Exactly. Native speakers also make mistakes. The goal is communication, not perfection.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Learn English podcast.
If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend.
And tell us in the comments, what is your opinion about this topic?
We would love to hear your thoughts.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Goodbye and happy learning.